Tourists flocking to see the beautiful countryside within the Principality of Nevendon are often struck by the relationship that seems to exist between its waterways and railway services. The two transport systems often being seen working side by side. Elsewhere in Britain, canals were simply left to rot when the railways arrived. However, in 1892, Lord Boise introduced a bylaw that prevented this from happening to the Principality's canal system. This was not an totally unselfish act, however, as he had quite a lot of money invested in the crafty Albert chain of pubs and inns that were, and indeed still are, situated close to many of the canal system's locks. But as a direct result, a symbiotic relationship now exists between rail and canal. Indeed, it is a common feature of the landscape, as can be seen here at Nevendon Staithe. Raw materials such as coal and timber get delivered to the yard by rail. A number of workshops within the site then take advantage of this to manufacture goods that either get transported away by barge or, in the case of local deliveries, by lorry. This system generally works out quite well, save that on too many occasions for the engine driver's comfort, mistakes back up the line at the marshalling yard often result in wagons being connected up in the wrong order. The only answer then is to perform a shunting exercise. A rather time-consuming process, and one that obviously requires Nevendon Staithe to have a small siding available for such maneuvering. In the planned course of events, as an engine arrives at the yard, it would be perfectly positioned to take on fresh water and even move on into the engine shed for repair or more general maintenance. Directly behind the engine would be positioned a wagon containing coal with another wagon, one delivering minerals, bringing up the rear of the train. Providing the train is arranged in exactly this formation, then the yard will be able to unload the goods quickly and efficiently. But, should the wagons have their positions reversed, or even worse, the engine pushes them into the yard from the back, then everything quickly descends into total chaos. However, so often has just such a situation arisen, that the yard was forced to install a small siding that could be used to rearrange the train such that both its engine and wagons ended up in their correct positions. Indeed, any visitor to Nevendon Staithe is provided with just such a puzzle to enjoy resolving. Whilst this siding was being built, another problem arose back at the marshalling yard. The number of diesel engines using it to refuel had been steadily rising as the steam age began to come to an end. It had now reached the point where the yard required a subsidiary site to handle some of its load. Accordingly, a small fueling facility was provided at Nevendon Staithe. Which means that diesel shunters now regularly come to the yard either to be serviced or to take on fresh supplies of fuel. With the number of people being employed at the yard growing, so some attractive business opportunities were presented. Local entrepreneurs were not slow to realize this, a line of small shops soon appearing as a result. The quiet backcountry road that ran along the top of the cliff towards the rear of the yard also saw some improvements. Indeed, motorists are still to this day enjoying the benefits that this provided. Nevendon Staithe is undoubtedly a success story, and one which proves that road, rail and canal facilities can flourish in association with one another. With deer, foxes, and even the occasional badger having been spotted along its banks, the canal is obviously also acting as a wildlife corridor. A fact that has got the crafty Albert chain rather interested, as binocular-toting tourists would be very welcome customers inside one of their inns. Obviously no such facilities could be accommodated at the moment. But, should the tantalizing promise of the Staithe eventually boasting a passenger station ever come to fruition, who knows? And, as for those roadworks, well, stranger things have happened, so they might even get completed one day as well. Through verdant, rugged countryside and past dark still waters goods wagons get pulled and pushed. Their manifests might vary, but never their destination. Nevendon Staithe is at the head of the valley, workmen all ready to hand. There, coal will get burnt, wood transformed, and minerals introduced to bags, the work of unloading never seeming to cease. A hive of light industry, the Staithe feasts itself upon whatever gets delivered, be it by train or boat. Later, lorries depart, as so do engines, some transporting manufactured goods, others empty save perhaps for some small piles of coal dust. Thus another day ends at Nevendon Staithe, as so too must our brief visit. But please do come call again. You will always be welcome.